Now, voters hate Trump for a very good reason, and they hate the GOP abortion politics, and they hate the racism that he's putting out there. And but the Republicans keep doubling down. So now perhaps it's a sign that we're still traumatized by the 2016 election, or more likely it's just that elite members of the pundit class have subconscious anxieties when they see rich people actually held to account for their crimes. But far too much media chatter after Donald Trump finally faced indictments got caught up in a hand-wringing contest over who was most fearful um, that this would somehow help him electorally, which it won't, and will score one for common sense over the received wisdom of the punditocracy. Which a new ABC News Ipsos poll shows that Trump's already low favorability ratings have plummeted to an even further to 25% overall. Because Trump's not popular, he never was. Now, for context, that's 14%. That's 14 points lower than when Trump called the white nationalists who threw a 2017 race riot very fine people, and it's 9% lower than when he incited the Klan insurrection on January 6th of 2021. Now, despite his relentless whining about witch hunts, the polling also shows most Americans are well aware that he's a fucking criminal, with 53% saying that Trump did something wrong. And let's face it, most of the 20% saying that he's innocent probably don't believe it, so much as they're just loyal sycophantic Republicans. But despite the fact that Trump is shaping up to be the loser that a small but outspoken faction of anti-Trump Republicans say he is, so far it still seems he's got a lock on the Republican squadron nomination during next spring's primary. Now, indeed, he seems to be growing in popularity with the GOP base, but overall, he's fucking hated. Now, even as his already low approval numbers of the general public plummet further. Now, for many GOP voters, it really is that they would rather lose the 2024 squad race than admit that Democrats were right about Trump all along. But I suspect for many others, it's just that they're in deep denial. Now, Trump and his right-wing media acolytes keep claiming indictments will only make Trump stronger when, in fact, they're going to make him weaker. That is a classic wishful thinking and unsurprising coming from Trump, a man who has coasted his whole life by pretending to be everything that he isn't, such as a smart businessman or a savvy power player, because he's neither. It's wishful thinking that's infecting the maggot base. After all, many of them live in a bubble where they don't consume non-maggot media or interact with normal non-maggot Americans much, if at all. So it can be easy to convince themselves that the orange-hued fascist is as popular nationwide as he is in their Facebook mentions, which he's neither. And the level of delusion about their own popularity is not just Trump-centric. There are many signs that Republicans have become an ostrich party. The more the public sees Republicans for who they really are, the less the public likes them. Now Trump's narcissism is spreading throughout the party, causing people who really should know better to believe that they have a wellspring of support that simply doesn't exist. Now the evidence is becoming overwhelming at this point. The anti-abortion views of Republicans are widely unpopular, and before the Dobbs decision last year, in which the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, it was plausible enough that the public was divided on the abortion issue. But it turns out, however, that was mostly because people didn't actually think they were going to lose access, and now they did. Now that most Americans see this as a live political issue instead of a settled right, the backlash of the Republicans overturning it has been fucking dramatic. Republicans are losing race after race that they would have otherwise won, but they're losing on abortion. And yet Republicans seem unwilling to admit that abortion is a political loser for them, and they think it's a win, but it's a loser for them. The recent Wisconsin State Supreme Court race is a good example of what we had witnessed. It's not especially mysterious what happened. Milwaukee County Judge Janet Potasewicz had beat election denier Dan Kelly by campaigning on the dual promises that she would protect abortion rights for the women and she would work to restore democracy to the state. Her victory over Kelly would be properly described as an ass-whooping. And not only did she beat him by 11 points at the polls, but voter turnout was unbelievably high for an off-year election for a seat that many people probably didn't even previously know that this was an elected one. In particular, young voters turned out in what looks to be record numbers. Now, rather than admit that abortion is a losing issue, many Republicans think that the problem is that they aren't anti-choice enough. Now, Dominic Pino of the National Review lamented that Kelly hadn't run enough ads, highlighted his anti-abortion views, and writing, conservatards who run away from the abortion issue are destined to lose on it. His attitude is clearly shared by the majority of Republicans and state legislators who keep drafting ever more draconian abortion bans. Now keep banning abortion until morale improves, and that appears to be their guiding philosophy here. Now the situation in Tennessee last week is starting to look like another example of Republican delusion. And perhaps it's because Trump didn't seem to lose any intra-party support after he had dinner with a couple of Hitler Nazi sympathizers late last year. Now Tennessee Republicans seem to have no idea that it was a bad look to expel 2 black members of the state legislature simply because they spoke out about gun violence in the wake of a mass shooting that happened. The story rocketed to the top of the headlines, drawing national attention indeed, as Sam Brody of the Daily Beast explained. Videos of the expelled members racked up millions of views on social media, and a huge amount of money started to pour in for them. The whole thing helped accelerate a sea change within the Democratic Party, of national energy, outrage, and dollars flowing to fierce battles unfolding in the state capitals that they once neglected. Now, in all retrospect, Republicans really should have seen this coming, and the morality of the story is coming up. After all, it confirmed the public's worst suspicions about Republicans. Republicans are fucking hella racist. They fucking hate democracy, and they don't care about any fucking people who die by gun violence. So as long as they keep getting their fucking NRA funding. Now, all the accusations against Republicans that often get dismissed as Democratic hyperbole are right there on display in front of our fucking faces. It was especially hard for Republicans to run away from the fact that that out of the 3 representatives whose expulsion came up for a vote, only the white person was spared. And there's no need to be concerned, however, the Republicans have not learned a lesson from any of this. Now, on the contrary, Tennessee Republicans are threatening even more retaliation against voters if those voters continue to insist that they have a right to elect their own leaders, which we should have a right to elect our own leaders. The GOP leadership is reportedly threatening to withdraw education funding from schools in Nashville and Memphis if those cities returned the 2 expelled members to the state legislature. If there is any lingering doubt, Republicans hate democracy. Punishing voters for daring to vote should remove it. Now, of course, that hatred of democracy is why Republicans are less worried than they should be about their ballooning unpopularity. Republicans are already dependent on gerrymandering and voter suppression to give them power way beyond what they actually earn at the ballot box. And they clearly expect, or hope anyway, that they can corrupt the system even further so that voters never have a real say in who their leaders are again, ever. But if this progressive backlash keeps growing, voters may actually have a chance to throw Republicans out before the GOP fires the kill shots on American democracy. Now, if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell and the like button. And also, if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified when a new video comes out. You can also leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And just for a little, it's a few bucks a video or a month, your donation can help go a long way. And thanks for listening.